Hey, beautiful people, it's your girl Rocqi from the It's So Real podcast. And remember to check out my personal YouTube channel, Life is Rocqi. Okay. But welcome to another Rocqi's Reactions. Now, I've been doing this Battle of the Sexes for a while now. And honestly, we all need work, Jesus. But anyways, I'm taking a break from that for a little bit because I'm tired, yo. I'm tired. Goodness, so many problems. But anyways, just so you know, I got some people in the background. Shout out to Daniela, my roommate and friend sitting over there chowing down. And then also in the corner, you can't see him, but you may hear the strum of the guitar. I don't know. He's gonna pick it up and play, whatever. But just so you know, that's what's happening around me. Okay. All right, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Today's video, remember the link is going to be in the description box below, will be How to Have a Life Worth Living by Peterson, Peterson, on one of my favorite YouTube channels, After School. I love the way, and this is not sponsored, but I love the way, unless you wanna, I love the way After School animates, one, amazing artistry, just beautiful, and then two, just the lessons and just, even though it's a lot of science deconstruction and life deconstruction, it feels very spiritual to me in connection. So I really love their videos. I use a lot of them within my happiness coaching. Check out Manifest Reality's happiness coaching, because it's some lessons we need to learn about how to move through life. So that being said, how to have a life worth living. Let's get to it.
Dostoevsky said that in Notes from the Underground, a great, great book. And he said, I love this. It was his an early criticism of the notion of a political utopia. He said, look, if you gave people everything they wanted, they had nothing to eat but cake, and nothing to do but sit in warm pools and busy themselves with the continuation of the species. That was his lines. That the first thing they would do, well, maybe after the first week, was like go kind of half insane and smash everything up just so that something that they didn't expect would happen, so that they'd have something interesting to do. And it's so right, because the utopian notion that if you just had all the material stuff you wanted, that you'd be, well, what would you be? What would you do? Would you just sit on the couch and watch TV? I mean, you'd be...
All right, I'm going to just say, hearing it without seeing the animation is really disservice. So please check out the video. The link is in the description box below. I know you want to see it on screen while I'm reacting. We're not there yet in editing. So subscribe so we can get monetized and hire an editor. Okay? Anyways, it's beautiful animation, and I guess I'm going to have to describe the animation to you. So basically, it's everybody lounging in a pool, chilling, king of the world type shit. But then the next aspect of it is like, the world is burning in hell, and nobody's happy. And then the question of what would you be, what would you do? Somebody sitting on the couch, KFC, ice cream, burger, chilling. And it's very interesting because growing up, I used to read a lot of dystopian literature. That was one of my favorite types of literature, because for some reason I like to imagine if the world were to go to shit, which it is currently. So I know what to do in those sort of events, that was my mind. But as of late, as the world has become more and more of a dystopian, honestly, and I'm like, I want to escape from reality. I want to read more utopian literature. So I'm really excited to start getting into that. I was like, well, if there's a dystopian, genre, maybe there's a utopian genre. And sure enough, I found some books. So I'm interested in getting those books just to have that different perspective. One of the books that I found is based on this concept. The fact that if we were to have it all, we would be upset with that, So all of that to say, I've been fascinated with the concept of creating our own utopia. That's where Manifest Reality's happiness coaching comes in, as far as we do have a lot more power and control over our lives. But the thing about it is, what I'm teaching and what I'm living isn't about materials. It isn't about having it all in the sense of material things. Like, let me break it down like this. We have two things that make up majority of our lives: work and our relationships. And if we're unhappy in either of those areas, life can feel a bit of shitty, you know? So focusing on what we have in our control, it's like, okay, well, what can I do to either be content in work or enjoy work or be doing something on the side, you know, as far as my hobbies that I enjoy. So most of my time, flexible hours, and that's just changing the whole work system, which we ain't even getting into today, okay? But check out other countries that be doing 4-day work weeks, okay? Increasing productivity. I'm just saying, look at what remote work is doing for people. I'm just saying. Anyways. So that's one aspect. And then relationships. People are, one, not acknowledging their power of choice as far as family, friends, and all of that. As far as like, I want to be around people who are pouring into me, but also pouring into themselves, growing, it's just health and love, you know? And saying, yeah, I don't have to be in relationships with people who decay my spirit, so to speak. So people aren't doing that or acknowledging that choice. And then when it comes to romantic relationships, that's just a whole lot of fantasy, which is a different topic that I really don't have the energy to go into. But check out my Becoming a Feminine Woman series on my personal YouTube channel, Life is Rocqi, because that's where I go down that rabbit hole. Woo! But anyways, let's continue, shall we?
I don't know why you'd be cutting yourself just for entertainment and no time flat, you know, and that's the sort of thing that people do. And so we're not adapted for security and utopia. We're adapted for a certain amount of security because, you know, we are vulnerable, but mostly we want to have one foot out where we don't know what the hell is going on, because that's where you're alert and alive and tense and with it. And you know, I believe this, and I believe it actually has something to do with the hemispheric structure of the physiology of your brain, is because the right hemisphere looks roughly adapted to what you don't know, and the left hemisphere, and this is an oversimplification, but a useful one, is adapted to the world that you do know.
Logical versus
and the right place for you to be is halfway between them. Because and you can tell that. That's what's so cool. And this tells you that this is actually reality that's manifesting itself to you. You know, that sense of active engagement you have in the world when things are working well for you, you know, where you should be at the right time. You're alert and on top of things and engaged, and you don't have much of a sense of time, and the sense of the tragedy of life sort of recedes, and that's when you're...
Oh, them present moments when you are literally enjoying and appreciating life. The light is shining, you're full of happiness and love, and you're just like, God, I'm thankful for life. I feel alive, I feel here and now. I'm not worried about the past, I'm not worried about the future, I'm just here in this moment enjoying the fuck out of my life. Is a fucking good place to be. And the fact that you can create a life where that happens more than often, you can create a perspective where that happens more often than not. Like my life partner, he gave me a journal that said, be here now. Be here now. And it's something I actually have tattooed on me to remind me to be in the fucking present, because I have anxiety, so I be dripping. Anyways, I use that journal for not only gratitude, but appreciating the moments. So I built my awareness, usually using hindsight, where I reflected on my day and I found which moments of my day that I appreciated. And then I wrote them down. And I consistently wrote them down for less than a year, honestly, it took for me to increase my awareness to the present moment. So before it was, I was reflecting at the end of the day, or I was reflecting about the day before. Then I started reflecting to right after the moment happened. Oh, that was a really good moment that I just had. You know, then it got to the point where now I'm in the present moment, enjoying and appreciating the moment, and I don't have to write it down to remember, because I'm such in that moment that I'm just enjoying life. So it is possible to create. You got to train yourself to think a certain way. You have to create the life you want where that's happening consistently. And again, work and relationships is 2 areas of life where if you get those together, then, well, that's majority of life. So you might be all right. But it's interesting that they're referring to this because it reminds me of kids. Like they're so fucking, well, if ain't no trauma and survival shit going on, present. And that's where that innocence is, where they can just be in that moment, just having fun. There's no fucking responsibilities. It's a good time as kids. Goodness. And the fact that they're saying, yeah, you can have that as an adult is exciting.
That's when you've got one foot where it's secure and one foot out in the unknown, and your brain signals to you that you're in the right place by making what you're doing meaningful. Mm-hmm. And that sense of meaning is actually a neurophysiological signal that you've got the forces of the cosmos properly balanced in your being at that moment. And that's why it feels so good. Now, well, what else could it possibly be? I mean, our brain is capable of looking beyond our vision. That's what it's for. And that sense of engagement, there's no reason to assume that that's anything but a real signal. And you can reduce it. You could say, well, the problem with being where you know only is that you don't know everything. And that's going to be a problem in the future. And the problem with being where you know nothing is that's just too much, man. Like, you go into panic mode and because anything can happen there and you can't handle it. So you got to mediate between those two things. You want to be secure enough so that your physiology isn't revving out of control, and you want to be out there in the unknown enough so that you keep updating yourself constantly. And that's the place where information flow is maximized.
So it's interesting because in therapy, specifically with couples, we talk about having either a balance or a natural leaning towards security or adventure. Because relationships need to be secure, but then there also needs to be some adventure, there needs to be some novelty to keep the relationship spicy, as many call it. So the fact that they're referring to that as an individual experience as well. We need a sense of security, and again, check out Maslow's hierarchy of needs, those first basic, 2 basic tiers. So food, water, and shelter, and safety and security, those would encompass the secure part. But then we also need the unknown, we need the adventure. One, we will never know everything. Life keeps changing, but that's something that we do need. So, and Oso and I have been feeling it too, just being in the house during the pandemic is like, we need new things. We need new experiences. So I'm excited to say we've started going to comedy shows, really upped our date game. I'm excited. What was the first one? First one we went to was Godfrey, fucking amazing. And then coming up, we have Wanda Sykes. So yeah, that's needed that novelty for sure. But yes, even individually, we need that balance. It's all about balance. Like they use it like yin and yang symbols and shit. It's all about balance, motherfuckers. Balance. Find your balance.
And you know that because that's where you are when you're having a really interesting conversation with someone, or you're gripped by a book, or you're really into a movie, or maybe something that you do as apart from your work, or maybe even in your work, you're into it. And that's because you are in the right place at the right time, and your whole nervous system is signaling that to you. And I would say that's the sort of place that you should be all the time. Of course you can't be because no one's perfect, but that's the recreation of paradise on earth. It's something like it because you are in the right place at the right time when that is happening.
Yes.
And so we're mobile creatures, right? We need to know where we're going because all we're ever concerned about, roughly speaking, is where we're going. That's what we need to know. Where are we going? What are we doing and why? It turns out that the way that we're constructed neurophysiologically is that we don't experience any positive emotion unless we have an aim and we can see ourselves progressing towards that aim. It isn't precisely attaining the aim that makes us happy.
Nope.
As you all know, if you've ever attained anything, because as soon as you attain it, then the whole little game ends. Then you have to come up with another game, right? So it's Sisyphus, and that's okay. But it does show that the attainment can't be the thing that drives you because it collapses the game. That's what happens when you graduate from university. It's like you're king of the mountain for one day, and then you're like surf at at Starbucks for the next 5 years, you know.
Huh. How many of us feel that?
So what happens is that human beings are weird creatures because we're much more activated by having an aim and moving towards it than we are by attainment. And what that means is you have to have an aim, and that means you have to have an interpretation. And it also means that the nobler the aim, that's one way of thinking about it, the better your life. And that's a really interesting thing to know because, you know, you've heard ever since you were tiny that you should act like a good person and you shouldn't lie, for example. And you might think, well, why the hell should I act like a good person and why not lie? I mean, even a 3-year-old can ask that question because smart kids learn to lie earlier, by the way. And they think, well, why not twist the fabric of reality so that it serves your specific short-term needs? I mean, that's a great question. Why not do that? Why act morally? If you can get away with something and it brings you closer to something you want, well, why not do it? These are good questions. It's not self-evident. Well, it seems to me tied in with what I just mentioned. It's like you destabilize yourself and things become chaotic. That's not good. And if you don't have a noble aim, then you have nothing but shallow, trivial pleasures, and they don't sustain you. And that's not good because life is so difficult, it's so much suffering, it's so complex. It ends and everyone dies and it's painful. It's like without a noble aim, how can you withstand any of that?
So I want to pause it. So they have a picture of truth going to noble aim and lie going to chaos. And I think a lot of people don't understand or recognize the lies they tell themselves. So how many times are you in a romantic relationship where your spirit knows that is not a good relationship for you to be in? That's not loving. That's not healthy. That's not pouring into you, lifting you up, adding to your life, you know? And you're just lying to yourself with all your feelings and saying that you should be there and stay in it, you know? And that just leads to chaos. And it's just, you feel it, right? But when you're following your truth, and you keep following your truth, like, let me tell you, when I say the last decade of my life has been one of manifestation because I've been following my fucking truth, even when it's fucking hard, actually right now, transitioning to coaching, like, yes, I'm scared. Yes, I'm like worried. Yes, I'm like, I still got to do this shit. Yes, I got to put in the work to make it work, you know? But it's like, I know for a fact because I'm listening to my spirit and I'm trusting myself that that's a noble aim. That's helping people nationwide to discover how to be happy. Like, the fuck? Versus me lying to myself and saying that I can still have the capacity to do therapy. That's not helpful to the client either. I can't hold that space anymore. So it's like, you gotta listen to the truth, even if it's hard. Especially if it has well, they're gonna explain, I've seen this before. They're gonna explain noble aim a little bit more. So let's hear more before I give it away. But yeah, I'm just saying, follow your truth, even if it's hard.
You can't. You become desperate, and once you become desperate, things go from bad to worse very rapidly when you become desperate. And so there's the idea of the noble aim, and it's not something. It's something that's necessary. It's the bread that people cannot live without, right? That's not physical bread. It's the noble aim. And what is that? Well, it's to pay attention, it's to speak properly, it's to confront chaos, it's to make a better world. It's something like that. And that's enough of a noble aim so that you can stand up without, cringing at the very thought of your own existence, so that you can do something that's worthwhile to justify your wretched position on the planet. And whatever it is that is you has this capacity to experience reality and to transform it, which is a very strange thing, You can conceptualize a future in your imagination, and then you can work and make that manifest. You participate in the process of creation. That's an amazing idea because it gives consciousness a constitutive role in the cosmos.
So they said the noble aim was to basically give life meaning. And again, this is one of the things that we discuss in my Finding Happiness skill set within Manifest Reality's Happiness Coaching. I'm going to be plugging in every single video, just so you know. But as humans, we're one of the species that's a little different because we do question our place in the universe. We do question the meaning of life, And then as more and more people honestly abandon religion, they're searching for how to find that meaning. Now, for me, my dad raised me with the understanding that our purpose in life is to help other people, to leave this world better than we found it by using our gifts and talents or things that we're good at. That's what he taught me was our purpose, each individual. And I've damn sure committed to that for sure. My purpose on earth is to help Black America. If other people get helped in the process, I'm cool. But that is my specific purpose. Now, the how has definitely transitioned over my life. Because I'm multi-talented. But yeah. So I'm coming out of the how's therapy into happiness coaching. So one day I will get to these books. Good God. There's so much on my plate. But anyways. One day. So yeah. But I do think, and this is something I do explore as well, the difference between purpose and meaning. And that I'm still exploring more about. What's the meaning of life? Honestly, just off the top of my head, I would say is to enjoy it, to be alive in it. Like, Mother Earth is fucking beautiful. How often do you just take a moment to reflect and be in it? You know? Like, when you slow it down to, again, the people in your life, what you're doing in your life, there's meaning just by being in it and enjoying it, you know? But of course, you got to create that life. That definitely ain't handed to you. For sure. But all right, let's get back to it. Oh, are they not saying it? So, Dr. Jordan B. Peterson says, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Ooh, let me repeat that back. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. And that's so fucking valid. Because every fucking body has a different journey. Every fucking body. Nobody had the same family of origin. Even in the same family, you didn't have the same experiences. So everybody is on a different place in their journey. Everybody has different journeys. Like, you really can't, you know? Someone else's happiness isn't going to be yours. You have to figure out what yours is. And again, at Manifest Realities Happiness Coaching, we do that. We figure out what the fuck makes you happy. So then you can do it. Okay? But you gotta sit and ask, what the fuck makes me happy? What would make me enjoy the fuck out of life? What would that life look like? And what the fuck do I need to do to get there? You know? And how can I enjoy the fucking process along the way? You know, these are the questions that you need to ask yourself, sit and reflect, and then answer in the comments below. Let me know. And then comparing yourself to who you were yesterday, ooh, that's a bad mother right there. Because it's up to you. If you are committed to growth, you are constantly growing and exploring and expanding and learning from you. Like, you should be an expert on yourself. Man, y'all ain't ready for me. Let's finish this up.
This episode of After School is brought...
It's done. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to see how much time I have and see if I can record another one of these bitches. Because promise so 2 a week. But we'll see. Yeah, let me know your thoughts about this one. This wasn't a relationship reaction. So let me know. I may switch it up because I be reacting to everything I watch. I'm an external processor, and then I do call and response with TVs. So don't take me to the movies. But yeah, let me know your thoughts about what you thought about this episode. Let me know your thoughts about the things that I was saying. Again, like I said, please watch the video, How to Have a Life Worth Living by Jordan Peterson on After Skool. And that's school with the Skool. Say hi to Oso. But yeah, check it out because I love their channel. It makes you question a lot. It makes you think about the systems that we've created and things like that. So yeah, and think about how to create a life that's worth living and then how to get there. Think about what would be life worth living. What's a life worth living to you? Answer me that. What's a life worth living to you? Comments below. Let me know. Because for me, I'm in it. I'm self-employed, first and foremost. When we talk about work as the majority of my life, let me, one, I have to report to nobody else. Two, make my own fucking money the way that I want the fuck to do it. Okay? I don't got to work with nobody I don't want to work with. Yeah, it's the life. But it's hella work. It's hella work to be successful self-employed. So I understand not wanting to do that work, but you got to choose which one you want. Because there is more freedom in being self-employed than there is working for somebody else. That means the commute, you don't necessarily have a control over. That means management, you don't necessarily have a control over. What your tasks and responsibilities are, you don't necessarily have a control over. Your coworkers, you don't necessarily have any control over. Like, sometimes you got to bend and give and take. Maybe task and responsibilities, the actual work that you're doing is something that you enjoy, but that commute's a bitch, you know? So decisions have to be made. So for me, self-employed allowed a lot more freedom and flexibility within that. I've had to get used to not making ducats, but it's coming. Consistency. We right here watching this shit. Subscribe. So that part. And then relationships is tough. I mean, the choice of my life partner, period. Like, I set up a good life because of my choice in him. So as far as family, you know, I had to create some distance. Had to cut off my dad, which was definitely difficult. I'm not saying that just dismissively. I'm saying that's what I had to do. That's a whole fucking other story, but that's what added more peace to my life. And then, yeah, I just need peace around me. Peace and love. Peace, love, and healthiness. But all right, beautiful people. Subscribe, like, share. We need to have these conversations. And remember to check out the rest of the podcast episodes, as well as Rocqi's reactions. But you have a beautiful day. Take care of yourself and ask yourself these questions. Peace and love.